Detroit. He wants to win, and he wants to have an opportunity to play meaningful minutes. And I'm assuming that's one of the reasons why he came. Obviously, we know the athletic and high jumping Blake, but I think as of these last couple of years, he's knocking down the three ball a little bit better. Ball handling is a lot better, and he can be a great contribution to this team.
Blake Griffin joining the Nets for the vet minimum, the six-time All-Star. Now, signing him, it doesn't appear to address their defensive deficiencies that we've seen so far this season. They do have 2 open roster spots.
You think they need it?
Well, I mean, according to Steve Nash, apparently they do. But we'll just focus on Blake. Just looking at the transformation of his game, what do you see that he will be able to bring to this team?
Man, he'll be able to bring toughness, rebounding, defense, and he's a very good three-point shooter. He shot in the playoffs, correct me if I'm wrong, over 40% the last time he's played in the playoffs. So when you watch Blake Griffin, he's not the high-flying guy that used to jumping over cars that we've seen in the past, but you're talking about an experienced all-star, a guy that was on his way to the Hall of Fame before injuries beset him. So think about this. You now have an insurance policy in case Kevin Durant missed some more time. So look, this is a great pickup for the Brooklyn Nets. Hey, man, they're well on their way to fighting for a championship.
And a key veteran.
About this. You need to pick someone who's going to be shooting dunks and layups, and we know Giannis is going to do that.
Yes, he did. The bank was open, and he took that three and made it later in the game. Reggie and C. Webb were telling him not to shoot, but he shot that thing anyway. Speaking of shooting that thing, he was in his zone. When I was talking about I'm talking about 2 gentlemen. They started throwing up them trays. Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, just shooting from any location on the court they felt like it, and it was dropping.
Yeah, when I first saw them pull up, I was like, what are they doing? And then when I saw the swishes, and then you see Steph come right back on top of it. Look, man, the range is unbelievable. These guys are a step beyond half court, and they're not chunking it up there like we say in the South. They're shooting it with form and touch. So when you watch the range, look at this Steph Curry. That is a basketball shot. He's not throwing that ball up there. And then when you watch Dame Lillard walk into a step into his shot, it's unbelievable. Look at this right here. Look at the form. Look at everything, the technique. Everything is right on point. I just can't believe it. Look at Dame Lillard, a contested 40-footer. And he just walks himself right into that. And you think about this, bro, in today's NBA, if you're playing a game against Damian Lillard and Steph Curry, you got to start your defense at half court, because if it's a 2-point game, you got to extend your defense, which is going to open up more avenues for those guys to score and their teammates. So as the range increases, the coaches are going to get more nervous, because now you have to extend your defense even more.
Definitely a coach's nightmare, and they were definitely efficient. A little bit over 20 minutes played, 21, 22 for each player, 32 points, 28 points. That is efficiency, as you mentioned, a coach's nightmare. But the coach on the floor is always Chris Paul, who is, as Charles likes to say, the greatest leader in our game. Set a record, as I predicted in guarantees, the most assists in All-Star history, passing up the one and only Magic Johnson, who you're fond of.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite player all the time. And look, Chris Paul owed me something. He should have had the assist record, because I picked him in the skills challenge. I can't believe he let 2 centers beat him, the greatest leader of all time, according to Chuck. But when you look at his ability to pass and make people better, I mean, that's why Chris Paul is there. A great leader, an unbelievable passer, and the thing that I like also, the 2 lob dunks between he and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Set each other up. And for an old guy, Chris, you can still get up. You still got some life in them legs. So when you look at the All-Star weekend, the way it was put together, the way it was handled, it was a great weekend. For the first time in a while, I watched from start to finish.
Really?
Every event. Yeah, because, look, it started with the skills challenge. That was good to see 2 big guys skill. And then you got to the 3-point shooting contest. And then you had the game, then halftime, the dunk contest, and then the finish of the game. I just like the way the players embraced it. They had fun. They were entertaining. And they made the millions of people watching, they made them, again, realize why the NBA All-Star Weekend this year game is so important.
We all have our favorite moments. My favorite moment was Dame at the end of the game hitting the shot from half court, but Steph had his arms up as the ball was inbounded. Coach, real quick before we go, what was your favorite moment from this weekend?
Oh, winning my bet with Giannis. What do you mean my favorite moment?
NBA fans, what's good? You are now rocking with the best. Ro Parrish in Studio B, and it is game time. Here to engage, enlighten, and entertain along with the 2007 Coach of the Year, Sam Mitchell. We celebrate International Women's Day, and it's important to us because we're both girl dads, and we have a number of important women in our lives.
Absolutely. My mom's still here with us, man, my sisters, and then I have 4 beautiful daughters myself, so I'm proud of all of them, man, the things that they accomplished early in their life, and looking forward for the opportunities that presents itself for them.
No doubt. Shouts out to Jewel. Shouts out to Jade. Shouts out to Jordan. Those are the important women in my life, no doubt. Well, listen, we got our name from a woman. We got our game from a woman. So let's celebrate our women right now and celebrate the women that are in and around the game today in the NBA right here on International Women's Day.
Basketball has been a passion for me since I can remember. My dream was to be a basketball player. And when I realized my chances of going pro were slim to none, I started covering women's basketball. So there was no way that sports weren't going to be a part of my life forever.
And the plan was to go to med school. And the year that I graduated was the year the WNBA began, 1997. And I started to think, you know, I might regret this if I don't at least try. But was fortunate to get chosen to play for the Cleveland Rockers. I remember seeing the little girls at our games, just looking up, almost confused to see women doing things that they'd only see men do.
The new CEO, Cynthia Marshall.
Well, Cynthia is new to the job, but she knows what to do. Ruth the Maverick son.
I never thought I'd be helping to lead the business side on a basketball team. That was just not in my wildest dreams, but I had dreams that I would always do something big and that I would lead.
My journey began in New York City, in the South Bronx. I had no idea it was to represent professional athletes. I just didn't. We had to work really hard to make these guys think that we were actually, A, of value, and B, in a position to be able to, frankly, compete with the league.
NBA history tonight with Jenna Schroeder, Natalie Sago.
The first 2 female officials to officiate the same NBA game.
When we first got our schedule, I look at it and I'm like, Jay Schroeder? Like, is this some typo? I immediately texted Jenna and I'm like, we have a game together, and she texts back, shut up, are you kidding me?
What drives me is just trying to do the craft justice. So, you know, we're not just the only women that the NBA are going to hire.
Well, you know what swin is, right? In African dialect is translated to astounding woman.
Although I may be the first in a lot of different ways as an executive, as a woman of color, I understand that it's not about just me. It's about keeping that door open and a revolving door where more women are able to walk through.
Every step that I've made in my career, even if it wasn't something that I planned initially, has always had a purpose. And I preach this to my children all the time, that if you put in the work, there's nothing that you can't accomplish.
The first player in history to have ownership group. Just absolutely magnificent stuff.
Choose the challenge means choose to be different. Choose to challenge those places that we haven't been before. We have our first vice president, that's a woman. Our first